Hi everyone! Today's video idea is actually inspired by a post on Instagram. Someone was a week or two ago posting a picture with the question what kind of products we as moms could recommend where it was really worth the money that we purchased a certain thing, and also to mention things we bought where it wasn't worth the money at all and we didn't use the thing or the product or whatever it is. So I thought this would actually make not just a very nice but a very helpful and useful video idea. So here we are. A lot of the things I'm going to mention today are things in regards to breastfeeding and to feeding in general, but specifically in regards to breastfeeding, some tips and tricks and ideas here and there. And a lot of the things do not even cost that much money, which I think is nice as well. Let's start, however, with some of the bigger things we got and where we actually think it was so well worth the money. The first one is our Babybay, which is basically the attached bassinet to our bed. I will at this point have to take a picture of it, but I will take it and I will link it into the video right now so you can see how it looks like. So this is our Babybay, and that is where Freya is sleeping in at night. And especially when you have to feed her and stuff, it's very nice because you just have to lift her out into your bed, feed her and lift her back in. So you don't have to get out of the bed or anything. Plus, if she's, screaming a little bit or just, whining because she's missing her parents, you're just next to her. You can hold her hand, I can stroke her head and stuff. So that's very, very convenient for mom, dad, and baby. The other big thing we got, which is expensive, quite expensive, but so far it's been so much worth the money already, is our Nomi Highchair. Once again, I will put a picture in right now how it looks like as a baby seat. And that's actually where she's lying in right now. So we take that chair everywhere we go. It's super, super light. It also has two rolls in the back part of the feet. So even if the baby is lying inside, you can just take it from A to B to C. So in the mornings, she's sitting in it while we're having breakfast and also for lunchtime, etc. Then when I get ready in the bathroom, I just take her with me. She's sitting next to me in the bathroom, can watch me. She loves when I blow dry my hair, so that's very neat. And also now when I'm sitting on the computer, she is next to me because she is awake. And the nice thing about this chair is when it's like it has the baby seat on top, it's actually a bouncy chair at the very same time. She's only now getting big enough to bounce herself, but I can actually help. So you can see my arm is kind of bouncing her because I just fed her, but she's still awake and I would like her to go to sleep, but yeah, doesn't look like it right now. So every once in a while I have to bounce her a little bit so that she's not too noisy. But the chair has definitely been worth the money because we have been using it basically from day one when we got out of the hospital. We also have like the baby seat thing, and later on you can transform it into a regular seat. It's very, very neat. You can customize it in terms of what kind of cloth thing you want to have around it, and also what color stem it should be. So we actually chose to have the walnut one because we also have walnut chairs, so that fits together very nicely, which I think is nice that the baby chair kind of integrates into your other furniture and that it's, not standing out, but is part of the rest of your furniture. So yeah, we've been loving our Nomi baby chair. Now let's move into something you maybe just saw when I blended in the Babybay, the baby bed we have. One thing you cannot really have enough of are Swaddles, and this is one of my favorites. This is from Aden and Anais, one of their newer collections. As much as I love this specific one, it's a bit difficult with the washing because you cannot wash it for like too hot. I think the maximum is like 40 degrees or something. I actually ruined one already, but I learned my lesson. Swaddles are so useful for so many different things. If you look back into the video and at the picture, I'll just link it in now again. You can see that there are actually 3 different swaddles in that bed. Number 1 is the one I use kind of like as a layer in between the baby and the sheet and the mattress. Because a swaddle is just so easily changed. It's so nice that you just, you know, if she throws up, you take the swaddle away, put a new one in, and you are ready to continue sleeping or do whatever you do. So that's very nice. We also use it basically, a smaller one around her head area in the car seat. Yeah. And in the pram as well. I put it in between herself and her sleeping bag in the pram, which is made from lamb fur. And should she throw up, it just goes into the swaddle, and I put it into the laundry and it's ready to go again. But with the whole fur and stuff, and also with the baby seat, I don't want her throwing up all over and then have to wash everything. Swaddles are just so handy. You just throw them in the wash and yeah, they're ready to go again. I also actually like to put them under myself, like in bed when I'm, for example, feeding her. That's actually where the other swaddle in the bed is used for. That one I put under myself and under her when I'm feeding her, so nothing goes into the mattress, because you have to consider it is, even though it's breast milk, it's still milk and it will smell eventually. So in order not to have to change my bedding every day, but maybe just once a week, I like to use a swaddle in between just to catch all kind of milk which might be spilling. And the third swaddle you can see in the picture is actually a swaddle which I rolled up because she started not moving per se, but she squirms around in the bed. And even though the bed is attached to our bed, there is like this slightest little gap. And in order to not have her head in it, I use that swaddle to roll up and cover that little gap. Sorry, I had to get the little princess out of her seat and I have her in my arms right now, so maybe she will fall asleep here. So last but not least, the last thing I like to use the swaddle for is actually in front of the pram, so to cover the opening where you can see the baby. The main reason for me is actually to keep the warm air in, because we had a lot of snow. It's really cold, -10, -20 degrees Celsius. So yeah, it's just nice to cover her up and shield her a little bit from those colder temperatures. But the other advantage the swaddle actually gives is that a lot of older people here in Switzerland, I feel, like to stare into the pram and to look at the baby. They literally, when I'm at the post office, they literally kind of jump into the pram, which I don't like. I also think it's quite disrespectful. But if there's like a cloth in front, then no one can really see her, so that is nice as well. And besides all of the mentioned things you can use the swaddle for, you can obviously also use the swaddle just to cover her up and to actually swaddle her. Freya really didn't like to be swaddled, at least not with her hands in. She preferred to have her hands out, but I know that a lot of babies really like to be swaddled and snug and tight and, you know, feel like in their mama's womb. Now let's move into some more breastfeeding related things. I just mentioned it. Spilling of milk happens and is annoying because first of all, it's milk. It will start smelling at some point, and it's also quite sticky actually, especially the first milk which comes out. And I mean, it is called liquid gold for a reason by a lot of women, so you don't want to spill milk if you can avoid it. So one thing I have been using from the beginning on, and you should actually have quite a lot of them at home, are Breastpads. Those are the ones from Penaten, which are my favorite. I have tried out a couple different ones, I think 4 ones in total, and those are my favorites. I will take one out so you can see how it actually looks. Let me get a bit straighter here. You always have like such a hunched position when you're holding the baby. So this is how they look. It looks a little bit like a nipple in the front, which is funny, but it's just because obviously it is for your nipple on the inside and they kind of pushed it like through. So I use around 4 of them per day. I put in 2 fresh ones in the morning and then I put in 2 fresh ones in the evening, because depending on how full your boob is, they do actually fill up, which is crazy. But it's really good that things like those breast pads exist, so that you don't have it all over your clothes. The funny thing is also when I'm breastfeeding her, and that's actually something completely natural and actually good when it happens, when she sucks on one side and really starts sucking hard, then the other boob starts spilling milk as well, which is, in German it's called the Milchspenderreflex, so the milk dispenser reflex. So yeah, it's just good to have those pads, and always make sure to have a couple of them somewhere stocked away, because you do really need a lot of them. The other thing I can really recommend in regards to breastfeeding, especially during the night, are those kind of things. So basically bralettes. I have a couple of them from Klein, but that's just because we got them really cheap in an outlet last year in May when we were in Florida. Obviously you don't need to use Klein, you can use whatever else you like. And the reason I like them is I used to sleep without a bra at night, because that's what you usually would do, and it's also recommended to sleep without a bra. However, the first night when I was out of the hospital and I was actually able to sleep on my side again, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was drenched in breast milk, because obviously your boobs refill after the last feeding, and if you're lying on your side, your arm, one arm is most likely to kind of press down on your boobs, which when your boob is very full leads to the fact that they start spilling. And obviously you need to wear something in order to put those breast pads in, but you don't want to wear a whole bra at night, but something a bit lighter, a bit more comfy. So those have been very, very, very handy. Plus they have a she discovered her fists, and that is the sucking noise you're hearing. She has her fists in her mouth. I actually think it's her teeth slowly shooting into the jaw. How about you use the pacifier? Yeah, good girl. So those have a very, very deep cleavage. So at night, I don't even have to lift the bra. I just kind of lift it under my boob, which also has the advantage of that the boob is kind of lifted upwards, so it's easier for her to latch on. So I have a couple of those here. I got some on sale, which are not very pretty, but I mean, it's for at home and sleeping. So yeah, that is definitely a recommendation of mine. Have some softer bralettes at home so that you're able to put in your breast pad in at night. Something which I think has been saving my butt in terms of de-stressing me, and that really, really helped. I think that breastfeeding has worked for me very, very well from the beginning on, is my milk powder. Now this is still my very first pot. We have been on and off using a little bit, but you can see there is still a whole lot of in here. So we have not been using it a lot, but we have been using it here and there. The issue I have is that I have a lot of milk in the morning, so that even if I fed her, there's still so much milk inside that it basically spills out, and my boobs are very full and almost hurting. So what I do in the morning, since around 4 weeks after her birth, I pump it off. And then I have the other issue that at night, sometimes when she's really, really hungry, she has those phases where she really, really drinks a lot. That I sometimes feel my boobs are empty, but she's still hungry. So, but I'm not always able to pump in the morning. So we had sometimes a situation that she's still hungry, but I didn't really have any more milk to feed her. So it's nice to have a little bit of formula at home to make her a bottle if it is needed. And we had this at home since before birth. There's nothing bad about having formula at home, even if you intend breastfeeding. For me, it was just a very big relief that I knew I would be able to feed my baby no matter if I have enough milk or not. In order to feed your baby with formula or with breast milk, which you pumped off, you obviously need bottles. And those have been the ones we have been using so far. They are the ones from Avent, which is a Philips brand. It was not a very conscious choice, but what had happened was when we were in Florida last year in May, I went into a lot of baby stores, Carter's, Oshkosh, Bigosh, etc., but also into a lot of maternity stores like Motherhood and A Pea in the Pot. And they all kind of belong together. And if you're actually visibly pregnant and buy over a certain amount of time, a certain amount of money, then you got like a little goodie bag. Most of the things in that goodie bag were actually vouchers, but in every bag was one of these bottles with a lid, with a sucky thing, a complete whole bottle. And those are the small ones here in Germany. They are not here in Germany, but here in Switzerland they're even more expensive. But even in Germany, those are around 9 to 10 euros. And I had, I think, 5 or 6 of them, because in every freaking store I got one of those bottles afterwards. So we decided to just go with those and see if she would like them or not. A lot of babies apparently do not always go with the bottle or pacifier brand you chose for them, so you have to try out a little bit. Freya is very, very easy. She goes from bottle to boob and back without an issue, so that is very, very nice. But the Avent bottles were the ones we went with. And this also explains the choice of manual breast pump I got in the beginning, which is this one here. So as you can see, I have this little pod underneath and an adapter which comes with the pump. However, if I take both of them off and have only this top part here, then I can screw the bottle underneath and could directly pump into the bottle. However, this one fits a little bit more liquid. I got it because it was on sale and because it was matching our bottles. But I didn't have any other reason. It worked so far very, very well for us. However, at this point, I'm actually looking into getting an electric pump for when I go back to work. I'm looking into Medela, which is basically kind of the Porsche under the among the breast pumps. It has a lot of great reviews. I have to read up a little bit more which one I go for. I would like a double breast pump, just because, I mean, if you pump anyway with an electric pump, then just go double. That's my opinion, but we will see. But the manual one has been working very well for us in the first 3 months now. And I would actually recommend having one there, because Freya is not always the best eater. And like I said, in the morning, my boobs are so full and actually hurt. So it's nice to relieve myself of that milk and pump it off and be able to save it and feed it to her at a different point. So I would definitely recommend having a hand pump at home. There are a lot of different brands out there which all have certain advantages and disadvantages. So you just have to look into what suits your needs best. Another thing which actually turned out quite nice for us is this pacifier, which funnily enough is also from Avent. I had gotten a lot of different pacifiers from a lot of different brands, because once again, I knew that babies are pretty specific about what kind of pacifier they like. And we tried out a whole lot of different ones. And like I said, this was the one Freya went with. They always come in like double packs. We have a pink and a purple one, and then this blue one and the green one, which she's actually sucking on right now. This one is from basically birth until 6 months, and then you need a bigger one, maybe we go without a pacifier afterwards. I wasn't too fond of pacifiers in the beginning, but I wanted to have one here just in case. However, my midwife actually said, don't worry about giving her a pacifier, because especially at night, pacifiers stand in connection with preventing sudden children's death. How's it called? Sudden infant death? SIDS? Sudden infant death syndrome. And pacifiers, using a pacifier is actually supposed to help against like sudden infant death syndrome. That's a mouthful, jeez. So yeah, this one is our choice of pacifier, but I had gotten a lot of different ones. However, pacifiers thankfully are not too expensive, so in my opinion it's good to have a couple of different ones here and let your baby decide which one he or she likes the best. And last but not least, the last thing which turned out to be a total hit, and that is this little music cloud from Ferm, which is actually a Danish brand. This one was a present from a store here in Zurich called Snowflake, which have a lot of amazing Scandinavian furniture and brands overall. We had gotten our baby bed definitely from a different store, which I was very, very unhappy with. If you look into my pregnancy update videos, I think I talk about it a little bit. But Snowflake actually offered to help me out with a bed from them, but I had already paid the other store and they ended up delivering thankfully in the end. But I can only recommend Snowflake once again. They have been lovely. The contact with them has been great. They have amazing brands. And I did actually recommend them on Instagram as well. I did purchase a couple of things from them as well. One of the posters and a bookshelf and our cam blanket with the little swans on them. And because I did recommend them on social media, just on my own accord, they didn't have to do it, but they actually ended up sending me this because they had my address, because I had previously purchased stuff from them. And it turned out that this little cloud, she's obsessed with it. It's hanging over her changing table, actually on the bookshelf I got from Snowflake. And yeah, it's playing a lovely song and she loves it. She knows that this cloud is playing music, and as soon as I put her onto the changing table, she just totally goes off, and when I pull the string, she starts smiling all over her face. So this has been a very, very good, well, not purchase because I got it as a present, but this has been one lucky find and we love it. We love it so much that actually my mother-in-law went and bought one to have in Denmark because she just loves it so much. So those have been the kind of products I can actually extremely recommend. Luckily there haven't really been any things we haven't been using. I mean, she hasn't really slept in her bed yet, in our actual crib, but I knew that, so yeah, that's fair enough. I think the one thing which I have already bought, which we haven't used as much yet, is her baby gym. I'll link a picture in below in here. I bought that kind of as a Christmas present for her, like at the beginning of December she got it already, and it's okay, but so far she hasn't been playing with it too much yet, but I think that's because she's still quite small. So I would not necessarily say, okay, that is something I cannot recommend. I can definitely recommend a baby gym, just wait a little bit with buying it. And the other thing I have to kind of say and recommend you doing, we finally got a carrier. The one we actually went with in the end is the Marsupi. However, I do also have an Ergo Baby here and I do have a ring sling here. And those I bought before she was born, and it turned out that she hated both of them. The thing is, with the Ergo Baby, we do actually have the traditional one, which you can use from baby age on, but you need to use a baby insert, like a newborn insert, and she hates that newborn insert. So at a certain point when she's old and big enough, I can actually use the Ergo Baby, but so far at the moment we absolutely love the Marsupi. And a carrier is actually very nice for traveling, or when you go, for example, when we went to the Christmas market, we went once with the pram and left after 10 minutes because it was way too crowded. But the weekend after, we finally had the marsupi and she loved it. So we actually could stay and enjoy ourselves. So I do recommend getting a carrier for a lot of different reasons. However, my recommendation is wait until the baby is born and go with your baby and try it out and see what suits best for both baby and parent. Especially as, like, Fire was born with 2.9 kilos and she was 3.5 kilos at her 4-week appointment. And 3.5 kilo is the recommended age for a lot of those carriers anyway. So we weren't even able to use a carrier until she was over a month old. So wait until the baby is old enough, big enough, heavy enough, and then you go into the store to someone who really knows what he or she is doing and have him or her explain to you how to use the carrier properly, how to fit your baby into the carrier properly so that you are comfortable about how you're putting her in or him in, that they are sitting in there the correct way, because that is super, super important. So I babbled long enough. I think this video is almost half an hour long, but it's a very interesting topic. Should you have any other recommendations for, you know, babies who are a bit older, 4, 5, 6 months, something you made very, very good experiences with, or things you can absolutely not recommend, let me know down in the comments below. And guess who's finally sleeping and whom I'm now going to put to bed? Baby girl down here in my arms. So I hope you like this kind of video. I'm thinking about making a 3 months update video because she is actually turning 3 months on Saturday and 13 weeks on Friday, which is in 2 days. So yeah, let me know if you would like that kind of video. I think it would be interesting. And also I think it would be nice for me and for her to look back and say, hey, yes, that's what she learned at around that time, etc., etc. So I'll go now, and maybe I'll take a nap as well, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!